Hello, this is Jay, and welcome to Inspire Me with Jay. I have a special guest, Tina Clark. Tina, introduce yourself.
Hey Jay, my name is Tina Clark. I am a Reiki master teacher and I've owned my own business, Stargazing Angels, since 2014. I also do shamanic healings and tarot readings, and um, I'm happy to be here on the show.
Yeah, it's good to have you. So, you said that you have an interest in all things strange since childhood, and you started a podcast to discuss those with various guests. What got you interested in strange things?
I think I've always been different, and I think my father took notice because he bought me a set of books by Time Life that had books about UFOs and Bigfoot. And I don't know if you remember this series. I think it came out in the 80s. And I would always read like ghost stories. I was a big fan of Stephen King and Anne Rice. I would read all of their books. And I was just always interested in the paranormal, or maybe when I was younger, I was more afraid of the paranormal. And in high school, I had a couple of friends that had lived in haunted homes, and they would tell me what they saw and experienced. And these were really close friends of mine. So who was I to tell them that they were lying and making it up? So I really thought I had no choice but to believe them. So, and as I went along, um, I always believed in spirit. I always believed in afterlife. At one point in high school, I wasn't sure about um, God, but my father passed away in 91 and very suddenly. And after that, I really felt his energy around me, especially right after he passed away. So that really kind of woke me up even more. And I decided that, well, if he's still here, but in a different form of energy, then there's got to be a God. There's got to be a creator.
So, what was most interesting to you? Was it the paranormal, UFOs? What specifically was of most interest to you?
I was just really open to everything. So, I mean, I'm interested right now, I'm interested in Sasquatch. I love talking about Sasquatch and wondering what about that. UFOs is more like, yeah, they exist, aliens exist. It's almost like, can we please move on and accept that they are out there? Um, but I feel like we live in a magical world and all of this is magical and fun. And I like to talk about it and I like to share stories. And that's why I started my podcast, My Weirdest Experience, because I wanted to invite people to come on and talk about their weird, odd experiences in a safe place where no one would laugh at them or think they're crazy. I always get a kick out of somebody telling me a story and the first thing they say is, oh, you're going to think this is crazy. And I'm like, nope, I am not going to think this is crazy. So go ahead and tell me the story.
So, what stories have you heard about Sasquatch or Bigfoot that were particularly interesting?
uh, on my show or in general?
Oh, either one.
I think as a child I was afraid of Sasquatch, which a lot of people are, because obviously they're this big hairy hominid in the woods and that's kind of terrifying. But I've heard all sorts of interesting stories about them, and I have my own experiences with them too. Um, But when I was out in Montana, I ended up communicating with one. Well, actually, I went to Montana and I came back and they communicated with me. So, I mean, I'm telepathic, so I can talk to spirit. I'm a medium. So when I say I talk to spirit, I could talk to an alien, I could talk to a ghost, I could talk to an ascended master, an angel. It's like there's not like I can't talk to someone of a different vibration. So I think it's fascinating that they exist and that we live in a civilized society, yet they still can coexist in the woods. I mean, that's kind of mind-boggling, don't you think?
Hmm. So, um, how close did you get to the Sasquatch, or was it quite a distance where you could hear their thoughts, but you didn't see them?
I've been about 6 feet away from three of them.
Hmm. Well, what do
So very, very close. And the interesting thing about their energy is it's really, really strong. I mean, once you've been around them and communicated with them, it's like you become familiar with their energy. So I could be, for example, I own another home in the beach about 2 hours away, and there's always this field that I drive by where I think about them. And I know there's got to be some of them there, because your thoughts are not random. So I think there is a family there that I drive by because I can recognize their energy. And now whenever I go into the forest, I try to connect with them if they're around out of respect
so are
to
they
let them know I'm here. And
so what are Sasquatch? Are they missing links? Are they a different creature altogether? What do you think a Sasquatch is?
I, well, I think they are part of the family tree, like a elder brother, a wise elder brother and sister. Um, where did they come from? I think they've been here for a really long time, maybe longer than we have. Um, but I know that there's DNA studies done on them, and the DNA study said they were half human. So they're part human, part primate, part of the tree that we all come from. And they happen to be everywhere
Mhm.
in the woods. So, of course, we've invaded their habitat, but there are some very remote places, and even in the United States, where they could exist that hardly any human even goes into.
Hmm. But what do you think their level of intelligence is? Are they somewhere between a chimp and a human, or are they as intelligent as people, or what do you think?
I think it varies. I think they're like humans. So I think there are some that are very highly evolved, um, like a spiritual teacher. And then I think there are some that are probably more animalistic and wild. So I think there's like a whole spectrum of different kinds. Plus there's different kinds of Sasquatch. There's other beings besides Sasquatch. So
Hmm. So do they have do they have culture? Do they have religion? Things like that?
yeah, I think so. Yeah, I think they have their own language. Um, there's a man that recorded their voices in this 1970s, and a linguistic expert analyzed it and said it was a language. It was a language that we don't understand, but it's definitely a language and they communicate together. So, and I also think that obviously they're telepathic. They can speak mind to mind. So
Hmm.
they don't necessarily need to use a language.
So are they afraid of humans? Do they typically tend to hide from humans?
I think, yeah, for the most part, I think some of them are very afraid, and I think the encounters that we hear about tend to be because both sides are afraid of each other. And obviously we could hurt them. They could hurt us easily, but we could hurt them with guns and our weapons. So yeah, I think they are afraid, but I think there are some that genuinely want to connect to us.
But do you have any estimation of their number? Like, let's just take North America. How many Sasquatch are in North America?
It would be hard to estimate. I mean, I would say tens of thousands at least.
Do a lot of times people see them and they write them off as an animal, like I don't know, a bear or something, when they see them, or something else?
Yeah, I think the brain is weird. I think if people don't know what they are, or they didn't think that they could be in their area, when they see one, it's quite a shock. And their brain might tell them, you know, that's a bear, or, you know, usually it's the bear, you know, they go to that conclusion. But I think you see what you're able to see, and for someone like me, I'm very open, so I think I'm able to see what they really are. But I think some people would be so afraid they would try to talk themselves out of what they really saw.
Are they peaceful for the most part?
I think so. I think, I've listened to a lot of stories about them. I've read a lot of books about them. And for the most part, they walk away when they see a human. They don't, and there's so many opportunities for them to go after you or chase you, or they just walk away. Or they growl and they want you to get out of the area, and if you listen, they'll leave you alone.
What do they typically tend to eat?
I think they eat everything, like from deer to coyotes to grubs, plants, like everything we eat.
Well, do Native Americans have any legends about Sasquatch?
Yeah, a lot of them do, and some of them say they're peaceful forest people, like another tribe of people, but that they live in the forest. And other tribes have some more fearful stories about them, saying they attack them, kidnap their children. So it's like the whole gamut again. It's almost like humans, you have some bad ones, you have some good ones. There's a whole spectrum of stories about them.
Well, since they're called Bigfoot, are they considerably larger than humans?
Yeah, much larger. I would say the females are probably, a grown female would be 7 feet, and a grown male could be anywhere from 8 to 12 feet tall, depending on the area of the United States.
But do they have any connection, like, when you look at the Bible and it talks about the Nephilim, the giants, is there any connection between the Sasquatch and the giants of the Old Testament?
I think it's possible, but I do think there are also giants, and we don't want to confuse the giant race with the Sasquatch race. And the giants are taller. I mean, they're around 20 to 25 feet tall, and they look like humans. They don't have fur, hair, or anything on their bodies. So I think that's a different group altogether.
Well, were those giants, were they from another planet, or were they fallen angels? Have you looked at any of the giants?
Yeah. I think that they are, yeah, definitely from another planet. And they came here and ended up living here, just like everybody else was planted here.
So what have you found about like aliens? Anything in particular? Because I've heard all different kinds of things. Like there's some aliens that look just like humans, and there's others that look radically different. And
Yeah. Yeah, there's so many different kinds. There's so many different kinds. So there's, and like I said, like with the Sasquatch, there's benevolent ones, and then there are the negative ones. So there's a whole gamut. I feel like Earth is probably the only planet that has no clue that there's alien life forms.
hmm, yeah, because
We're kind of in the dark over here.
well, because like when I've studied the near-death experience, people have been told during their NDEs that, or been shown that there are other beings out there. There are aliens. There are people or entities living on other planets, other dimensions too. So that sort of confirmed
Yep.
aliens to me, is that the near-death experience. I've heard a couple near-death experiences where they were talking about how they saw fairies and what looked like elves and things like that, that those things might exist as well.
Yep.
Have you ever had anybody talk about like fairies or elves or anything?
Yeah, definitely. I have, and I've heard them. I can hear them because you can communicate mind to mind. I've heard people, like I had a chiropractor that saw elves, and she said her whole, it was like a family gift. She said her mother could see them and she could see them, and I was like, "What do you mean you can see them?" She's like, "Well, they kind of look like a shadow, but yeah," she's like, "They're elves." I mean, somehow she concluded they were elves. I had another woman say that she was walking in the forest and she saw a red color kind of bobbing in the bushes, and she decided to follow it. And she said it was like a little person with a red hat on that was just walking along. And she said she was shocked. This was actually one of my clients. She told me the story. So she couldn't believe that she just saw what looked like I guess a gnome, like a gnome would wear a red hat. But she said she didn't get a good look at it, that she just saw the red and it stood out, and then she could see that something was walking.
Hmm.
So yeah, fairies are real for sure.
So have you've had a few guests on that talked about near-death experiences. What do you think of NDEs?
I think they're fascinating, and I try to be knowledgeable about a lot of esoteric topics, and this is one topic that I haven't really dived that deep into yet. But the it's fascinating what people see and how the experiences vary. Some people have a positive experience and some people have a distressing one. And it's just amazing that the differences, and also to the why did they have a distressing NDE? you know is it their belief system? And I feel like a lot of things that they see is connected to their lifetime, and it's like bringing up unresolved issues. But I haven't dived too much. You're more of an expert on that than I am.
Yeah. Um, so are there any strange phenomenon that you don't believe in or you're doubtful about its existence, or you're just not sure?
I'm sure there is, but I was just talking to one of my guests on my show, and I said, It's funny how people could believe in Bigfoot, but they don't believe in aliens. It's like, how can you pick and choose what you believe? Like, don't you need to be open to everything as a possibility?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I
Yeah.
guess some things maybe have stronger evidence than other things, you know. There is really strong evidence for aliens visiting the planet because there's a lot of, um, different cultures throughout history have talked about it. Like the Native Americans talked about star people and things like that. And I
Hmm.
think the near-death experience has some pretty good evidence because there's some NDEs where they would float out of their body and travel for miles away and report on seeing certain events, and then it would be later confirmed by someone that says, "Oh, yes, I was doing this and I was wearing this outfit," and things like that. So it seemed like it has some pretty strong evidence. I haven't really looked at too much evidence on Bigfoot or things like that. I've just heard some stories about it over the years, but is the Yeti the same thing as Bigfoot?
Yeah, I think it's a version of Sasquatch.
Hmm.
So to answer your question, I'm pretty open to everything. I think anything's possible. So if someone sees something and experiences something, who am I to say they didn't see it or didn't experience it?
Do you ever get into like angels?
Yeah, actually, one thing that I don't really believe in is hell. I don't really believe there's a place called hell where people get punished. I think if there's a hell, it's probably something you mentally create for yourself through your belief system. But I don't believe that there's a place that, we get punished for
You
our
think,
sins. Yeah.
what do you think there's like fallen angels or demons?
Yes, I do. But they are lost. They've turned away from the light, and they lie to each other, and so they don't understand. They're kind of like lost entities. They turn away from the light, they feed on other people's energy because they are turned away from the light.
Hmm.
But they still have an inner light within them, but it's very dim.
So do you think some of those dark spirits are human and some of them may be something else?
I think there are people that are probably close to evil that are very negative, but those dark entities have never been human.
Hmm. So you probably believe in good
And I
angels
think
too, then.
people confuse, yeah, people confuse the two. They think everything's demonic. And I just think most people don't understand the variety of entities that are out there. And so, um, you could definitely, if you're sensitive, you could definitely feel a negative ghost, and you can feel their anger, and you can feel their negative emotions, but it doesn't mean that's a demon. Could be just like that guy was negative when he was alive, and he's negative and he's while he's dead.
Hmm.
or in spirit form. So that doesn't change.
Hmm.
So for angels, yeah. And the interesting thing is, there was a time when I doubted that angels even existed. Like, I think I was more likely to believe that there were ghosts, but I wasn't sure about angels because I grew up Catholic, and um, so I'm very familiar with the Bible and the Bible stories and everything. And I don't know, after a while, I started doubting everything, including what was in the Bible. So I wasn't sure if there were really angels. Like I remember looking at somebody wearing an Archangel Michael medallion, and I was thinking, does that really protect you? Now I would absolutely say 200% yes.
Mhm.
But what changed my mind about angels was when I started meditating. Um, when I first started, I had that monkey mind, so I couldn't like clear my mind on my own, so I would follow like a guided meditation. And so I found this guided meditation. I actually think I bought it on Amazon for like $1 or two. I downloaded it, and it was a guided meditation to meet your spirit guide. And I was like, okay, great, I'm gonna do this. And at this point, I was starting to see, I could see and hear, like I could see and hear spirit. And whenever the meditation said, oh, you're in the temple, I mean, I could see the temple and I could see the walls and everything in a guided meditation. So I had this guided meditation to meet my spirit guide. And I saw this male suddenly kind of come from far away, and he was floating closer to me. And the lady's voice is talking in the background, right? And she's like, your spirit guide is coming in, and I want you to notice what he looks like. So I noticed he had dark hair, long hair, and kind of like a creamy robe on. And then I noticed that he had humongous wings on his back. And so the lady's talking, she's like, well, ask him his name or your guide's name, and listen to the message that they have you. And I said, okay. So I asked him his name. I said, what's your name? He said, my name is Gabriel. And literally like my jaw dropped open. I was like, you mean Gabriel from the Bible? I couldn't believe. He's like, yeah, that's me. So here I'm thinking like, oh, I'm just going to get a spirit guide, not an archangel, that everybody's familiar with. Everybody's heard of Gabriel and Michael. So I was just in shock. And then this lady keeps talking. She's like moving the meditation. And I'm like, wait, wait, wait a minute. I need time to, let this sink in. So that was the beginning of my communication with Gabriel. And he constantly guided me for a long time. He would always be there. And in fact, he still is there. I just don't call on him as much anymore.
What did Gabriel look like?
He had long, dark hair, kind of below the shoulders, and he had a creamy white robe, and the wings are huge. I try to look online to see pictures of angels, and the wings are never big enough. I mean, huge wings, and just very kind. It's more like I could tell you more about his energy because that's what matters the most. And his energy is very gentle, you know? Whereas if Michael's very like, boom, I'm here, like really strong, like he just kind of flies in there really fast. And Gabriel's like the way he approached me the first time, it was very soft, coming from the background, and he came closer to me, and that's what his energy is like, his
Hmm.
personality.
So when they say spirit guides and angels, is that basically synonymous terms?
No, they're different. So a spirit guide is usually someone, especially if we have one on Earth, which we do, we have many. Like I have a whole team apparently of spirit guides, but there are people who've had a life on Earth because you can't guide someone unless you know what it's like to be in a body on Earth. So, and they're part of your soul family. So before you incarnate it and you're born, you decide who's going to guide you from, the spirit world so you can accomplish all of your goals and your missions in this lifetime. And then angels, for the most part, they they don't incarnate. They're not part of the incarnation cycle. They're kind of directly created from the creator. So they don't participate in the birth and death cycles, that sort of thing. They are they're here to help us too. So we have probably up to 4 guardian angels per person, and we could have numerous spirit guides. I don't even think there's a limit on the number that you could have. It depends on what you're working on. So your different spirit guides come in and out of your life according to what you're going through at the time.
So it's kind of like that verse when Jesus was asked about marriage in heaven, and he said, we would be like the angels. So it's sort of like we're doing some of the work that angels might be doing, but obviously we're different beings in the sense that, they've never been human and on earth. So maybe it's kind of like that verse in a sense. We really are like angels when we die, and we're doing some of the same type of work.
Yeah, I mean, we could be a spirit guide for someone else when we're done here. Because obviously you have experience. We all have experience on Earth. So I'm sure that we have the ability to guide people too.
Well, I know because I was always like when I was a kid, I remember watching Highway to Heaven and thinking, boy, I wish I could be like that. And on that show, he was a person that had lived before. So it was more like, I guess, a spirit guide, but he took on physical form and he went around just helping people. And I thought, well, that would be nice to be able to do something like that.
Yeah. And quite possibly you have.
So, like in terms of your meditation, did you start meditating at the time you were going to find your spirit guide? Is that the first time you started meditating, or did you start before that point?
That was around that time, because it was around 2011 when I first had my first psychic reading. And when I had that reading, it really opened my eyes to everything. And the psychic reader was 100% accurate. So I started looking at past lives. I started looking, reading. I'm a voracious reader, so I read a lot of books on all these topics, and I just wanted to learn about everything. So also I started meditating, and but the interesting thing is now I don't really meditate that much. I can clear my mind pretty good, like practicing mindfulness. I do that a lot. And then when I'm giving Reiki, that is a meditation in itself, because when you're giving Reiki, you have to clear your mind and focus on what you're trying to, if you're either giving Reiki to yourself or another person, or I focus on that person. So that's a meditation as well. So I don't have like a daily practice, but I have been meditating for a long time. And meditation is really, really key to being happy on the planet. If you're not meditating, if you're not sitting in silence, and I just posted about this on Facebook, if you sit in silence, then you will know the truth. And if your mind is busy and you can't focus and you can't clear your mind, you'll always be confused.
So is it like meditation gives you the opportunity to connect with your higher self or the deeper part of yourself?
Yeah, definitely. And also, it could help you connect to your angels, to hear your angels and to hear your spirit guides more clearly. Because how are they going to communicate with you if you're too busy with life and distracting yourself with all these things and you're not taking the time to listen?
Can you connect with God, do you think, during meditation?
Hmm. Yep. I can go up to the angelic dimensions, and then I can go up to creator. And I learned how to do that in theta healing, which is another energy healing modality where you go straight up to the creator and you bring that energy down.
What does Veda healing involve usually? Like, how do you do Veda healing?
Theta healing is you usually do it with someone else, and you move your energy up through the heavens to creator, and then you make a statement or you take that energy back down. The statement would be like if they're trying to heal something, and then you would bring that energy back down into that person. With Reiki, it's a little different. Reiki, you connect to source. You don't really go up to source. You connect to source and you bring that energy down into your crown chakra on the top of your head. And it goes down into your heart energy, and then you push that energy out your arms into your hands into that person. So it's a little different, but I actually do both when I work on people. I do theta healing and Reiki.
Which one do you think seems to be more effective? Are they about the same, just different ways of getting there?
Yeah, it depends on the person too, because I'm also trained in access bars consciousness. So access bars is just touching different points in the head that represent different areas of your life and running that energy in the head. And I've had people who really responded better to access bars than they did to Reiki. So sometimes it takes just trying different modalities to see which one best works for a person.
Yeah, I was talking to someone the other day who was mentioning tapping. Is access bars similar to like tapping, to heal?
Tapping is a little different, and I actually do that too. It's called emotional freedom technique. So there are meridians running through your body, energy lines in your body. So acupuncture uses the same concept. So in acupuncture, they're using needles on the meridians of the body, where with EFT, you're tapping on those points while saying what you want to heal. And then you say, you love yourself. So the amazing part of it is a lot of people don't say they love themselves. So the key is, for example, say, even though I'm feeling really anxious today, I deeply and unconditionally love myself. And then you would tap through the different areas and keep repeating that statement. And the amazing thing is, it really gets people into a calmer state really fast.
Yeah, because I heard someone was on a mindfulness lecture was talking about how a teacher told her to put her hand on her heart and say, I love you, and was talking about how it releases different things in the brain, like endorphins or something like that, and how it just makes you feel better to do that.
Yeah, it's almost like you're blessing yourself. Um, so for example, there was a woman that I was angry at the gym. It's a long story, but she takes some classes with me. And I took a yoga class with her. And at the end of the yoga class, a teacher says, please envision someone that you may be struggling with or you may be angry at, and send them love and wish them well and wish them that they have love and happiness. And so I envisioned this woman. And after class, I didn't tell her why, but I told her I sent her loving energy during that yoga. And she thanked me. And as I walked away, I got chills, like goosebumps up and down my arms. And I just felt like I released something or I was getting some really good energy from my angels for doing that. And it felt really good.
Hmm. But is all of this kind of like um, a, a prayer from the heart? Because, like I remember reading in near-death experiences where the more heartfelt your prayer is, the further it goes to God and the stronger it is. Because like some people could see like waves going up as people were praying and it was making a difference. Is it kind of like that? Like you're getting in a deep-seated place within your being, and then you're moving, you know, divine energy in someone's direction?
Definitely. I think prayer is powerful. And prayer, sometimes I like to envision prayers as these little sparks of energy that go up into space. Like you're praying to the creator, the angels, and it's like a message that you're sending to them. Say, please send healing to Jay, and then that energy goes back to you, or it could go directly to you. But prayer definitely works. Definitely. We're such powerful beings if we just wish someone well, if we wish them the best, if we wish them healing, it's like a wish that's granted.
Hmm. What do you think the connection between like prayer and meditation is, energy healing? Is there because a lot of times you think of prayer as you're speaking to God, meditation you're sort of listening, but in meditation you can also be sending out and sort of, praying in that sense from your heart, even though you're not verbalizing anything.
I think it depends on your intention. So intention is really important. I teach this to my Reiki students. When you are um, working on someone, make sure you're clear about the intention that you intend on sending healing energy to this person. And I always ask my clients, and it kind of throws them off sometimes, but if they're not used to the question, but I say, what is your intention for the session today? Because I want them to vocalize what they want to accomplish. So sometimes they say, I want to lessen the pain I feel in my shoulder, or I want to feel less anxious, or I want to feel more relaxed. So that they vocalize what they want to happen. And that's telling the universe their intention,
Hmm.
stating their intentions out loud, which is really powerful. So in meditation, um, you could intend on just being present, or you can intend on communicating, like, or you could, in meditation, you could ask for guidance. What if you're struggling with something, you could say, I always bring in my spirit guides and angels when I do any kind of spiritual work. So they already know what I'm doing. So I already opened that communication door with them. So
Was it?
in meditation, you can do that.
So is an essential element of Reiki to put your hands on someone to sort of pass the energy that way? Is there kind of a laying on of hands?
Yeah, it's very similar to laying of hands, which is a Christian term. But with Reiki, there's three levels. So the first level of Reiki is based mostly on physical and placing your hands on yourself or someone, or you could bless your food with Reiki or water, the earth. You could put your hands on earth and send Reiki to the earth. And then level two, you can send Reiki across distance. So if you had like a sick friend in California, you could send them Reiki, across a distance, or also you can send it into the past or the future.
Hmm.
So for example, if you want to send it to the past, Say there was a childhood memory that was very emotional for you, and you wanted to send that event Reiki. And everybody involved in that event Reiki, you can do that. And that really helps you heal from that event. And then to send it in the future, say you have an important interview or a surgery scheduled in the future, you can send a Reiki to that event in the future. And then when that day comes, that Reiki comes in. And then at the Reiki master level, you learn how to do psychic surgery, which is if you see blocks in the body, and sometimes you can see dark shapes in the body or something, you can cut it out with your hands and remove it. So your hands become your tools. And then you seal off that energy. Plus you get the master symbol and everything. And then at the teacher level, you learn how to attune Reiki students at the different levels. And then you learn additional attunements, like there's the healing attunement, the psychic ability attunement, the DNA activation attunement.
Now that one in the past seemed interesting. Are you actually changing the past?
I think you are. And that may be a controversial thing to say because some people say you can't change the past. But here, the thing is, there's no such thing as past, present, or future. In reality, for our soul, everything is happening right now. So if you send healing energy to the past, you're changing the past and your present and your future.
Well, could it be sort of like if you're sending something in the past to someone who had a trauma, would they sort of feel like a wave of peace for a few seconds and it would kind of pass over them? And maybe they never really thought, maybe they thought it was God.
So when you're sending,
go ahead.
Right. So if you're sending everybody affected by that event healing, they're going to feel it. They may not be conscious of it, but they're going to feel it and it's going to affect them.
So is it kind of like a pretty detailed process to be able to do something like that? Or can you just do it, from a heart of love?
Yeah. One of the simplest ways to do it, you don't even have to know how to do Reiki, is you can imagine that person in a meditation state. Imagine that person standing in front of you and imagine your heart energy connecting to them. And that your intention is to send them healing, loving energy. That's how you connect to someone on a soul level.
Well, could this work in terms of, like, if you have kind of a tense relationship with another person, if you start sending them more love and peace, it could kind of help smooth and improve the relationship? Obviously, people have free will and they can choose what they want, but at least if they're feeling more peace and love kind of flowing in their direction, it might change the way they feel or act to a certain degree.
Yeah, I've heard stories of people who just sending good thoughts or good intentions to someone you're struggling with will change how they react to you. It might be a cool experiment for people to play with. Say there's a person in the office or a family member that you're struggling with, so just take a moment to send them some good healing energy or just wishing them well. Maybe you can just say, I wish that person the best. I hope that person is happy today. I wish that person happiness. And it's like a blessing that you're sending to them with your words and your intentions and your feelings. So that will affect them. And so the next time they see you, they might subconsciously pick up on that and go, well, I guess Tina's not so bad. I guess Jay is not so bad. They might feel more open or warm toward you because you've been sending them healing energy or loving energy.
You think we collectively could change the planet? Because there's been like a few events where, like you see on Facebook, where they say meditate for, spiritual awakening or to help the planet in some way. And, I know one guy that was sending it out, he kind of seemed like he was discouraged because, not see results right away, but maybe you're at least planting a seed when thousands of people are meditating in a positive direction to improve the world.
Oh, definitely. I think in 1987, I can't think of what it was called, but there was like a world meditation that occurred in 1987, and a lot of spiritual teachers talk about that moment as being pivotal on the planet, that we shifted the energy of the planet by all meditating at the same time. So I do think that we can affect what happens on the planet and make it for the better. And the more of us that do it, the better off the planet's going to be and all the living things on it.
Hmm. Well, I wonder if you got thousands of people together to meditate on reducing the deadliness of COVID, or, having more treatments or cures, or just improving that situation, that you could do that, or like reducing cancers or something like that, that could make a difference.
Yeah, I think, yeah. Even just one person doing that, you can make a difference. So sometimes in my meditations, I will imagine the planet, and I imagine myself raking the planet between my hands and sending that energy to the planet with the intention that it needs to go where it needs to go. Or you could focus on areas that are struggling, maybe with war or famine or something, and you can Reiki that area. But I definitely think it makes a difference. But of course, the more people doing that, the more powerful it is.
Yeah, because they have like the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. If enough people could focus on that, maybe they could have a more peaceful outcome.
Yeah, definitely. I think there are a lot of light workers that are doing those kind of things all the time.
Hmm.
It's almost like an unrecognized work that we're doing. Like a lot of times if we have, like, say I live in an area where we experience hurricanes, and so I will send Reiki to the hurricane, trying to send it healing energy, because I feel like a lot of that stuff is emotions. Like it's like emotions that got caught up and it's moving toward us. So I found that when I'm working with my friends who know what they're doing as well, who practice this, that we can actually weaken the hurricane, but not necessarily move it. Moving it's really hard. Maybe I
Yeah.
need more people working on it. But you can weaken it. And I remember I have a friend that lived in Florida, and she called me up and she said, "Tina, that hurricane's heading straight to me." And I was like, "Okay, well, what can we do about it?" And she's like, "Well, let's connect with the storm and see what we can do." So for a couple nights in a row, we did that together. And I would wake up each successive morning and the hurricane had weakened.
Hmm.
And I told my friend, I was like, "Oh my God, I think it's working."
Hmm.
So we can affect our environment. We can affect the weather. I mean, humans are powerful. We're powerful, but just use it for the greater good. That's what's key. And when you do that, I call it like karmic credit. Like your life becomes more magical as a result. And if you really want to manifest something, it's like you have this extra boost for yourself. because you did all this benevolent work, planetary work.
So is it kind of similar to like the law of attraction? And remember there was a book and a movie that came out called The Secret. Is it kind of the same thing where you're sort of moving the energy?
Hmm. Yeah, the problem with The Secret is I watched the movie and I read the book, and it just felt like they kind of dangled the carrot in front of your face, but didn't really explain how. Like they told you the what, but not how to really do it. But yeah, I mean, the basic concept is whatever you put out comes to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're sending healing energy, if you're praying, if you're have benevolent intentions, that's going to come to you in multiple ways. And if you're wishing harm, or you're polluting the water, or you're doing whatever you're doing, that's going to come back to you too.
Mm-hmm. So is it possible that it could go in the other direction too? Then, like if you get a group of people and they're sort of practicing whatever you want to call it, like dark magic or the occult, and they're trying to put curses on people, that could send some bad stuff people's way.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely that can happen.
Hmm.
But it's sad because I feel like a lot of those people who dive into that dark magic, they feel powerless in the first place. And so they're trying to feel more powerful, but they're going about it the wrong way, and they're opening the door to things that they may not know how to close the door on. That they could be inviting beings to help them that want something in return for their help. So it's kind of a dangerous thing to start messing with that stuff. But I will tell you that it can be cleared and undone.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean, oh my God, this person got cursed and they're cursed forever. The curse can be canceled and cleared, but you need somebody that's knowledgeable and experienced to do that. I've done that for multiple people.
Well, and you would think that sending positive things like love and compassion would be stronger because you're sort of connecting to the energy of God, the things of God, as opposed to the dark side. So I don't think they're like equal. I would think that the side of
Yeah,
love would
you're
be
right.
stronger.
Yeah, the light is always stronger because you only need one light in a dark room to light up the whole room. And you only need one lit candle to light 1,000 candles after it. Think of it that way too. So light always wins over dark, always.
Do you think that there is a spiritual awakening or transformation happening on the planet right now?
I do. And I think that's why we're here. I think we chose to be here at this time because we're straddling the Piscean age and the Aquarian age, and you want to be here during this exciting time. It's like we're on this bridge and we're waving people down the bridge. Go this way, go this way. We're like the people that are trying to guide the people the right direction. Um, I definitely think people are awakening. I know I've been in seeing clients since 2014. I've seen a difference in people that have been coming to me. People are becoming more sensitive, they're becoming more empathic, and their chakras have changed. Like I remember working on people in the beginning of my Reiki practice, and people would be off, like their chakras would be off. And now it's really rare for me to find anybody like that. So I noticed a change in that as well, just in people's energies and how they're running. So I do think there is an awakening, but Sometimes I feel impatient. I'm like, come on, let's do this.
Mm. So is it something where, even though the world seems so chaotic, you can have hope that transformation is possible and is taking place?
I think a lot of what's happening right now is that everything that's been secret is coming out. And so that has to be all brought into the light in order for us to move on to the next place or the next level. And so it seems like all these terrible things are happening, but all those things were happening. We just didn't know about it. We were kept in the dark about it or we were lied about it. And it's good that the truth is coming out. But it's going to be shocking to some people who weren't really paying attention or doing their own research and didn't know that they were being lied to.
Hmm.
So, and that's our job, is to help those people, like to explain to them what's happening, that everything's going to be okay, and that we're not going to be stuck in this place everything's evolving so fast and moving so fast. We're not going to be stuck here. But it's part of the process. It's part of the healing process on the planet right now.
Mm-hmm. So is there any, what sites can people reach out to if they want to connect with you? And you can maybe tell us about your podcast or the any other projects you're working on right now.
Yeah. So my website is Tina Kinney Clark, TinaKinney, Clark with an E.com. My business is Stargazing Angel LLC. I do Reiki energy healing sessions, and I do them online, so I can do them at a distance or in person. I'm located in Summerville, South Carolina, which is outside of Charleston. So you can find me there. Also, I'm a podcast host. It's called My Weirdest Experience. You can find it on 6 platforms, including Apple Podcasts and Spotify. So I release an episode every Tuesday, and I'm almost going into my 2nd season, Jay.
Yeah, that's great.
It went by really fast. Yeah. Also, Jay is a guest on my show, and we talk about near-death experiences in the Bible. So you can check that out. And he graciously asked me to be on his show. So if you're looking for healing, or you've got some issues, or some of the stuff that we talked about, I can definitely help you with. And you can contact me on my website.
Yeah, is there one final message you'd like to leave the audience with?
I would say, no matter how tough it seems, that we're going to get through it. That spirit has been telling a lot of us for years that we made it, that in the future that we made it through the ascending part of the earth. And so just hold on to your hope, get through it, and take care of yourself as best as you can. And definitely try modalities like energy healing, that sort of thing, to keep yourself going. Self-care is really important.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on the show. It was great to have you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Jay.